Hey everyone, in case you're watching the replay of this, you're welcome back to our live. I'm just going to wait for a couple more people to join and then we can get started. Hey Combat, how are you? Okay, I like your energy, Combat. I'm ready as well. So you guys can, start to drop your questions. Oh, hi, Janet. Hi, it's great to have you. First time. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm excited to have you. And oh, okay. That should be exciting. You have a lot of questions to ask me. Okay. I'm looking forward to answering them. You could start to drop them. Hey, I like the energy. All right, Janet, you can also drop your questions. Essentially, this is just me asking, answering questions. So general scholarship questions, for like application guidance. So whatever stage you're in, so whether you just heard about scholarships or you know about scholarships but you've never taken them seriously, or you want to take scholarship seriously, or whatever stage, or you've been rejected and you need motivation or tips or advice, or you're in the process of an application and you need guidance, whatever it is that you need tips or advice on, I'll be willing to answer them. For those of you that do not know, I am Faith Moyosore Agbola, aka AFM Stories, a 2020 Chevening scholar. I won the Chevening Scholarship last year to study for a fully funded master's degree in the UK. I'm currently studying at De Montfort University, which is my dream school on my dream course. I'm very passionate about helping other people to, get scholarships to study at their dream schools and their dream courses. And so I regularly interview scholars, I regularly post up videos on my YouTube channel, and this is one of such initiatives to answer some of your questions live on any scholarship. I know that there might be a lot of Chevening people here as well, but any scholarship, any advice, but just make sure that the questions are, from an informed place, or maybe you have something specific that you need like clarity on. I'm waiting for the questions, guys. I'm already ready to start to answer them so that we can get this rolling and fast. If you're just joining, you can just drop a hello, hi. Let me know that you are with us, and you can also drop like your questions. Okay, so while I wait for you guys to ask your questions, I think, okay, Combat has a question. While I wait for Combat to ask his question, I may answer some frequently asked questions that people have asked me. Oh, hi, Blessing. Great to have you. Energy. I like that smiley though. So, one question I've been getting of late, like, okay. One question I've been getting of late is from a lot of people who have been rejected, and they've been asking me, oh, Faith, should I try to self-fund my way out of it? So maybe I got admission into the school and they gave me a part scholarship, or they gave me a discount, or they gave me, or so I don't even have a scholarship, but I'm thinking of working my way through it, or trying to gather money and all of that. What I will say to you is it really depends on your circumstances and what your goal is for the scholarship. So I don't know the scholarship that you were rejected for. I feel like you have to weigh you have to weigh both sides of it. So for example, if you are like if you have the funds to cover for the other part, mind you, is a lot of money. I don't know what part of the world you're in, but if you think about the money you're going to pay, if you think about the stress you're going to go through, because getting a scholarship, you get a lot of support with visa application, getting to UK, you get access to scholarship community. I just feel like sometimes if you get rejected, it doesn't mean that you can never get a scholarship. It just means that maybe that year is just not your time and maybe it's redirection for you to try something else. So I mostly tell people when they ask me this question is honestly, if you can wait, I feel like you should wait and try again. However, if your goal is to build a career in your chosen country and you feel like maybe a scholarship might limit you because of the caveats and the expectations, then yeah, I would advise that you can try that route. It really depends. You just have to weigh both options. But okay, so Combat says, how can I stand out in a very competitive process of applying for scholarships? Okay, so standing out is a very very good question. Like I really love the question, and I will say that all scholarships are different. So what will make you stand out in Chevening is different from what will make you stand out in Mastercard. It's different from what will make you stand out in Rhodes. It's different from what will make you stand out in the Island Government Scholarship or McGill or all the diverse scholarships that are available. So what you need to first do is to go through your scholarship of choice because especially for people that are applying for multiple scholarships, don't think that it's the same essay, the same strategy that is going to work for all the scholarships because it's not going to work. They are all different. So what the first thing you need to do is find out what the expectations are for that particular scholarship. So what are the eligibility criteria? So for me, the first time I applied for Chevening, I knew that I met the eligibility criteria and I felt like that was sufficient. Like, okay, yeah, I meet it, so I'm just gonna put in my application and that's that. But the truth is that a lot of people are going to meet the eligibility criteria of that particular scholarship. So you need to meet the eligibility criteria and then think of extra things that you can add to make you stand out. So I feel like a lot of things that help people to stand out is if you a lot of people are going to talk about what they can get from the scholarship provider, but if you come as someone who has seen a problem, so if it's a school specific scholarship, what problems have you seen in the university? If it's like a program like Chevening, Commonwealth, Mastercard, what value can you add to the scholarship process? How can you give them something beyond what they already expect of you? So look for gaps and see how you can add that. Beyond that, and obviously you're going to demonstrate that in your essay, but beyond that, I also believe that awards also help. Now, awards doesn't have to be awards that you have a placard for, or even like Forbes or something major. Even if it's something simple as being recognized for being a dedicated student or being a dedicated volunteer, it's up to you to amplify, whatever it is that you have. So I feel like think about all the amazing things that you have, then look for how you can amplify it. There's a difference between saying, oh yeah, my boss said I was cool too, my organization recognized me as being this. So I feel like once you get the eligibility criteria, firstly, you need to push yourself with finding a gap in the organization or the university. Second, you also need to talk about how people have recognized you, how people have helped you, how people have added value to you as well. And then also lots of specifics and numbers. So a lot of people are going to say a lot of generic things like, oh, I want to change the world, or I want to work on these SDGs. But what is going to make you really stand out is how specific and detailed you are in talking about it. So if you want to talk about, oh, I want to change the education space, you won't just say, oh, I believe that I'll change the space by applying this policy. No, you're going to want to talk in depthly and like telling them, like even teaching them, like they can even work with whatever it is you're saying without even like seeing the end of it. Do you understand? Like they're even learning from exactly what you're saying. I feel like that also helps as well. If you can do some of those things, I believe that it would really help you literally. So yeah, and then also obviously get listen to a lot of scholars. Like obviously, there's something you can pick from everybody. When I was applying for scholarships, I know how many videos I watched of different people. There's always something you can pick up. Once you add all the amazing things from all these different people, you would see the beauty and the value that you would get from it eventually. Janet says regarding the Chevening interview, okay, some scholars advise that we stick to our essays during the interview as it's the basics for our selection, while others advise that we provide new examples to show growth. Okay, I tend to see this question a lot, honestly, and I will talk about it from my own experience and what I have seen, and even from interviewing the program officer. I don't know if you saw that video, Janet, but you should definitely check it out because she talked a lot about that. But the truth is, the reason why you got to the interview is because of the content of your essays, and I'm not going to take that away from you. So the truth of the matter is, I believe that the point, what they are trying to say is, so for example, in your essay, if you say that I am passionate about the agriculture space, and I have done an event for farmers, or I've done a training for farmers, I believe that in your interview, you still want to talk about that, but talk about it longer and more in depthly. Things you do not have the time and space to say in your essay, because obviously your essay is just 500 words. You need to expand on it. And then let's say, for example, you were doing like a school, you were doing like a monthly school where you were training people, and maybe you did a program called Save the Farmers. If you talk about Save the Farmers, which is what you said in your essay, but if you've done something new between the time you submitted your application, you say, and also most recently, by fleshing up your essay, oh, I did mention Save the Farmers, but most recently, I've even been able to do, oh, revolutionize the farmers in addition to that as well. So I feel like you don't want to go totally off from your essays, because it's your essays that got you to that level. Like, so I do not think that you should come and say something totally different. I believe that you should build on your essay examples. And I also believe that whatever new examples you're giving, so for example, if they tell you to give multiple leadership examples, I believe that you should give at least two from your essays, and then maybe one new one that adds to it. But it really depends, because not everybody that has done something new between the time they submitted it and not. If you have done something new, it's good to add it, but you don't want to go totally off from what you said in your essay and just give totally new examples in every single thing. I feel like you want to be able to defend what you wrote, because whatever you wrote in your essay is phenomenal, and that's what got you there. So you want to be able to talk about it in depthly in the interview, expand on it. So, for example, for me, the projects I mentioned that I did in the essay, obviously they were like 5 lines, but interview, I gave them a lot of backstory. So all obviously the star approach. So for the situation, I was more detailed. The task, I was more detailed. The action, I was more detailed. The result, I was more detailed. Remember that I always talk about you mentioning names of people, places, and time. So obviously, you might not be able to mention all the names of everybody in the essay, but when you're narrating it, you want to give more things that will make them believe you. So you mention names of people, names of places, the time it happened, more details that you couldn't have mentioned in your essay. And I believe that obviously that is going to help you. So I do not believe that you should totally deviate from your essay. I feel like you don't know whether the new examples you are giving is as good as your essay. Your essay got you to that level, literally. They've gone through your essay, but you want to talk about it in depthly. But what I will always advise is always bringing something new, because in my interview, I brought things that were new, but they were based off my examples. Do you understand? And obviously, it's not even all the questions in the interview that that would be just your essay question. So there's leadership, there's networking, there's career plan, and then there is leadership, networking, career plan, and study in the UK. So for me, there were like some other things that I could add to other examples. So obviously you have a lot of leadership examples, but you can't obviously say everything when they ask you the leadership question. But when they ask you, oh, what value do you want to add? Or how can you manage your time? You can talk about a project that required you to manage your time. So that's a new example, actually. That's recent. But still, you have to do it strategically, basically. So Jenny, I hope that answered your question. And yeah, if you need any further clarifications, you can still drop the follow-up questions. I'll be happy to answer it. But I do not believe that you should go totally off from like your first step. Oh, okay. So, what are the next steps to take to win a scholarship next year? I really like that the person is realistic, though obviously there are some scholarships that are still open that you can still win this year, literally. But I really like how realistic you are and how you're willing to plan and work towards it. So the first thing I need you to know is, because I always tell people that scholarship is not just, oh, I want a scholarship. You have to first understand your why. So, what do you want to do in the future? Who do you want to be? Do you want to build a new life in another country? Do you want to work in a specific organization? Do you want to change your career path? Do you want to learn about building your organization? The first thing you need to get together is, why do you want a scholarship? And then once you know why you want a scholarship, then what course do you want to study? Now, once you have the course you want to study together, then you now start searching for all the different scholarships available. Now, once you check the different scholarships available, you check their different eligibility criterias and different things, and you note them down. But one thing I know that you need to do if you want to get a scholarship next year is build your experience this year. So, for example, if you want to work in the engineering space or you want to work in the accounting space, now is a good time to either start working in an organization in the accounting space. If you can't get a job in that space, you can continue to do what you're doing, but you can start to volunteer for organizations that are involved in that. So let's say you're involved in women's rights or and girls' education, you can volunteer with an organization. You just need to build your experience so that they believe that whatever course you're trying to study, you're passionate about it. You can start up initiatives. It can be virtual initiatives. You can try to network with people in that field. You can try to read up works and books on it, and maybe try to even create a blog on it, write publications on it. Do you understand? Basically, finding out what these different scholarships require and start building up experience that you can tell in a story. Because most of these scholarships require you to tell a story about why you want to study that course. And you can't just say, I want to study the course because I care about the course. No, you have to show them that you're already working on trying to solve the problem you believe that course will solve. But in the process of trying to solve that problem, you have discovered gaps in your knowledge or in your experience, and you want the scholarships to help. So, whatever course you want to study next year, start to see how you can work in relevant organization. It doesn't have to be a paid job. It can be volunteering. It can be something you set up with your friends. It can be online projects that you can do or physical projects, but ensure that you are building relevant experience in relation to the course that you want to study. And let's say you're in final year or something, you can start to do more things in school, because many people think that scholarships is just like academics. No, you need the other parts of things. You need more practical experiences. And then also, now that it's next year, even the scholarships are already closed, you need to start listing out all your journeys, start to write essay drafts, start to get reference letters, guys. It's not that easy to get reference letters, especially from academic referees. So you need to start to get that. Start to try and get your transcript, your certificate from your school. If you need to travel to your school, you may need to start doing that as well. If you don't have an international passport, you need to get one now to prevent. That's like the best means of identification, and it makes them realize that, okay, this person is really serious about this, their travel abroad, scheme. You also need to start connecting with scholars. So start following scholars on social media, YouTube, Instagram. I know how many scholars I follow. Start watching videos on those different scholarships, and then also subscribe to scholarship websites. I have, even till now that I've won a scholarship, because obviously I'm interested in further education, I have a lot of scholarship websites on my email that they send me emails every single week about new scholarship opportunities, about basically updates and opportunities. So you want them to constantly remind you. You can also follow them on Instagram. I follow quite a number of them on Instagram as well. Just let it be in the forefront of your mind while you also get your documents together. And I believe that that is also going to help you. Okay, so Combat says that do I need to get a first class to win a scholarship? This is actually a very common question, and the answer is a big fat no. You don't need a first class to get a scholarship. Like, there are different kinds of scholarships, and I think that's the first thing I need to clarify, because a lot of people think that, oh, what applies for one scholarship applies for the other scholarship. I've spoken to a lot of scholars, and they are a diverse they're a diverse bunch. Literally, there are people that have a 2-2, the people that have a first class, the people that have a 2-1, the people that have, okay, I'm not sure I've seen third class, but I'm sure that it's possible if you have the experience. So if you know you don't have a first class, you first need to set, there are many scholarships that do not require first class. The scholarship I got, even though I have a first class, doesn't require first class. The law of 2-2s in my set and 2-1 is not just first class. The first thing you need to do is find a scholarship that focuses more on experience as opposed to your academic grade. I'm not saying that when you're in school now, don't be serious. Like, but if you're already done with school and you have a tutu, do not let that deter you. All you just need to do is don't focus your energy on scholarships that clearly say they need a distinction or a first class. You need to start checking for scholarships that prioritize leadership, prioritize experience. One of those scholarships is the one I want, which is Chevening. If you have your experience together, your proposed impact together, your referees together, everything strong, you can get a scholarship. There are a couple of scholarships that people have won with tutu. I know someone that even got tutu that got PhD, like direct entry. So do not let your first class deter you. You might just need to do a lot more research and a lot more search. But I believe that it's very possible for you to be able to get, a scholarship with a 2-2 or a 2-1. It doesn't necessarily have to be a first class. Having a first class obviously would help you. But the truth is that if you see two people in one place, two people are applying for a scholarship, one person has a first class with limited experience, and then one person has a 2-2 with a lot of experience and um a strong sense of impact that they want to have in the future. So people that have like things that they want to do, they've prioritized more on your impact as opposed to just your grades, because obviously grades can it's not every time that grades are a true test of your knowledge. There are sometimes that the people that maybe things got distracted them, or maybe they didn't even like the course that they were studying. Do you get? So do not let your grades deter you as well. Can you get a scholarship with a third class? I do believe that you can get a scholarship with a third class as long as you supplement it with like publications, certifications, experience, lots of volunteering, and you ensure that whatever it is you want to do in the future, you make it strong enough. And I believe that that is going to help you. Um, Janet says, my interview is at the end of this month. Please, what advice can you give to me from prep to dressing the parts to the interview yourself? Okay, so this is actually beautiful. The first thing I'd like to know is I hope you've gone to the venue to check out the venue to be sure that the location is somewhere that you're conversant with, because the wrongest thing you want to do is go on that day and start going roundabouts, because that's kind of like the same thing mistake I made. And I went on a roundabout and it took a long time before I found the venue, and it really affected me in terms of putting me in the right mindset. So the first thing you need to do is, but I don't know whether your location is Abuja or Lagos or what country you're from, but ensure that you go before that day to try and be sure that you know the journey to your interview location. Now, aside from that, you need to read your essays over and over, but do not cram your essays. I've conducted a lot of mock interviews for prospective scholars, and one of the common mistakes that they have made is that a lot of them actually sound robotic. So they don't even sound convincing to me, and I'm not even a scholarship provider. It sounds like they're reading it off their head, they've crammed it, it's not natural, they're not passionate about it. So I needed to read your essays, reflect back on the stories that you're talking about and the experience. So one thing that I believe that helped me was I became so passionate about everything I wrote in my essay that it felt like my truth. I read it to the point that it felt natural. I said it a lot to people. So you need to practice telling your stories to your brother, your sister, your dad, your mom, or any of your loved ones, literally, or your friends, or practice to the mirror. Practice saying your story, not like you're reading up lines, but obviously practicing your story like you're telling someone your passion. So I feel like that you need to get to a point where your story feels natural to you. And if it's your truth, honestly, I do not think that you need to cram or you need to learn anything. The parts that I know that you might need to learn things is the study in the UK, obviously. You want to be able to read about the you want to be able to read about all the different things the school is about. I feel like one thing that really helped me in my interview, number one, I feel like it's my passion. When I was sharing my story, I wasn't sharing it like I was trying to remember my essays. I was sharing it like I was trying to remember the reason why I did all the things I was saying. So I was reminiscing on me at 19, creating a brand. I was reminiscing on how I felt seeing people get impacted. And I was saying it like you could see it in my eyes that I was getting it. I'm not saying she got act. But I feel like if you think about like it not as an exam that you're going to go and tell people what you have read, you have rehearsed. No, but if thinking more about, oh, I'm passionate about what I want to do. These people care about me. These people want to work with me. I just need to tell them my truth. Do you get? I believe that obviously, please obviously use practice using the star approach, practice being concise. That's very important. But also practice ways that you can sound natural and convincing. And then also practice not forgetting people, place, and location. And also, so yeah, that's for leadership and networking. For studying UK, obviously, please learn a lot about your schools. One thing that also helped me was, and that's why I was talking about the fact that you might need to give more examples in your essays. In my study in the UK, what I wrote in my essay was like 15% of what I eventually said in the interview because I read a whole lot more. I was even able to say recent thing that the school had done. So I feel that that also helped me in the study in the UK as well. So that one you might need to learn it, but you also don't want to sound like you crammed it. You want to sound like you're excited about it. And so even when I was talking about the modules, I was excited about it. I was like, oh, I like this module because I'm okay. So I'm very interested in this. You want to be able to do that. If you have a flaw that the module can feel, you should be able to confidently say that. Make them feel like you're human. And then in your career plan, also still don't sound like you are rehearsing something. You need to sound like it's something you're passionate about. And the only way you can sound like that is if you're truly passionate about and if you think about it, like if you believe it in yourself. Your career plan, you need to be able to convince them in that. Don't say anything unrealistic. I feel like I can't overemphasize that. Do not say anything unrealistic in your career plan. Literally say everything from your heart. Because one of my interviewers literally said, oh, you're very passionate about everything you're saying. And I feel like that helps me. And even when I was reading last year for the interview, there's a scholar, Cassie, she talked about the fact that they were able to see that she had passion. Because if I'm like, okay, people that I've interviewed in the mock interview, I've seen people who talks like this. So my name is Faith, and I'm passionate about the agriculture space. I feel like the agriculture space, that's not convincing. But oh, my name is Faith. As a child, I saw firsthand, what farmers are going through, and it really, really put in something in me. Like, and it sounds like you're actually thinking about it. Like, I remember the day it was one of the most beautiful days, as opposed to it was one of the most beautiful days. And I believe, obviously, do you understand? You don't want to sound robotic. I feel like that's something that you also need to know. Secondly, there's a lot of imposter syndrome going forward to the interview. You got to that state because you are phenomenal. I feel like if you defeat yourself before you get there, once you get there, you're going to be defeated. When you are going there, go with the mind that I am going to kill this interview, I'm going to do well, because they are going to make you feel comfortable. They're going to laugh, they're going to dance. You don't want to go there and you already look defeated. Do you understand? Because one thing that I love people forget, and that's one thing that I learned also from speaking to the Chevening program officer, is the fact that there's still a lot of phenomenal people. So the people that are going to take seriously are people that are sure of who they are, because it's a lot of money. They're spending millions on you. They want to be sure that you can handle that kind of investment with confidence. And the only way you can do that is tell yourself before that day, I am phenomenal, I am amazing, I am going to go and kill this thing, and that's that. And then for dressing, obviously, I feel like you should prepare a lot, honestly. Practice talking about it every day, obviously. Watch a lot of mock interviews, rehearse, get people's feedback on you as well. One thing I realized is that I didn't practice enough till I got to a point where my brother was like, Faith, you're talking too much. Because I can talk too much. So I feel like the more you let people ask you, it can even be your fam, it can be friends, because scholars might be really busy now because of schoolwork. But practicing that also helps. For dressing, I would say that dress corporate. Though some people wear traditional wear, but I wear corporate. Wear dress very good. Like It's not one of those scholarships that you dress simple. Just you though, because I did like a I think it was packing gel with like a long hair at the back, and I wore like a green dress with flat shoes. I wore a lot of makeup. I'm a makeup person, I can't pretend. I wore nice jewelries. Even the interviewers themselves, they looked trendy, they looked fun. So like dress you. Some people wore heels, some people wore colors. I feel like you should dress you and let yourself reflect in the interview, literally. If you are a native person, wear native. If you are a suit person, but my own is dress as good as you would like. Dress your best, like look very good. I feel like when you look good, you sound good and you're confident. People are attracted to confidence. Obviously, you have flaws, obviously, because I had points in the beginning where I was a little shaky, but they were able to get me back. And once I got my into my zen, I was just hitting it because I'm like, Faith, you came here to win this. You didn't come here to lose. So you have to be a fighter in the interview as well. So for the dressing, yeah, that's it for the dressing. And then for the interview itself, it's going to be like 30 minutes to 1 hour. You might have people at your interview panel that are involved in your industry. So I had people that were involved in organizations that I mentioned that I wanted to work with. So please, whatever you wrote in your essay, research it for that. Whatever you want to say in your interview, ensure that you have researched every single part of it, because those people are going to ask you follow-up questions. I had a business consultant in my interview because I am doing a business course. So someone had the head of NIMASA in that interview because she was doing that, she was doing HR. So that's very important. Ife says, thank you for additional quality content on this space. Oh, thank you, Ife. I'm grateful. So my question is on the Chevening interview. Apart from passport ID, what other documents are required to take along? So obviously, you know that this thing might be changing from year to year. So the first thing is what they write in your email. Whatever documents they wrote there, it's important that you take them. But for advice, personally, I took only my passport because that's the only thing they required of me. But I know a lot of people that took printed out copies of their certificates, their transcripts, yeah, but I don't think they'll need your reference letter, but you can take hard copies of your reference letter, especially if you were not able to upload it in time, your conditional offer letter, also samples of your work. So for people that, for example, maybe the work they are doing is something that is very rural, not really digital, you can also bring work samples to just basically depict it. So you can even be like, to even make them believe that what you're saying is true and you're passionate about it. Some people even brought up pictures like, oh, for example, on this day I used this and that. So basically, most of the documents you uploaded is just safe to bring them on board. I didn't bring anything, but I know people that brought it. You might also bring a printout of your interview invite just to be safe. I did my interview in Abuja, Nigeria, so I just feel like it's better safe than sorry, honestly. But I took only my international passport. Yeah, so um how can I deal with rejection after putting in the work? Well, I feel like you need to understand that rejection, like obviously rejection is one of the hardest things to deal with. I have dealt with rejection. Like I sound like, oh, I know everything. I don't know everything. Obviously, I've had moments when I have been rejected a lot of times, but I've also had moments when I've been selected. And in my short time on earth, I've realized that rejection is simply redirection. Like every time I've been rejected for something, it was helping me for something in the future. There were certain job opportunities that would have prevented me from getting the Chevening scholarship. I wanted to work in some organizations with the UK government, and I was very sad when I didn't get rejected. But if you've applied for obviously the Chevening scholarship, you see that you cannot have worked with any of their related organizations. And even the first time I applied for the Chevening scholarship, I got longlisted, but I was rejected. Though obviously I didn't put in my best in the application. But a year later, everything I thought I wanted at the time I applied the first time was not what I wanted. It was different schools, different courses, and I am grateful that what I am studying now is what I am studying. So I feel like sometimes rejection is just for you to rethink or try other, or maybe that scholarship is not for you. Do you understand? Or maybe they were just stronger people, or maybe that year was not for you. There are people that in this my Chevening said that are unhappy that they're studying online, I am happy that I'm studying online because I don't like stress in my life, you know? But like everything happens for a reason. So if you have been rejected, rejection is just a result. It's not a test of your worth. I know people that were phenomenal that got rejected for all of these scholarships. It's beyond your worth. It's just maybe mistakes or preferences of the scholarship providers or um what's the word now? Like priority areas. It's not really just about you. Obviously, there are mistakes you could have made and ways you could have packaged yourself better, but see it as a fault to try harder, honestly, because everybody has been rejected. Rejection is a normal part of life. Failure is a normal part of life. You just need to learn and not let it define you. Can someone get a scholarship without genuine work experience? If it's a scholarship that is strictly academics, yeah, sure. But if it's a scholarship that is not academics, why would you want to put an ingenuine work experience? Like, why? Do not do that actually. Like work and one thing I need to let people know is that work experience is not just working in an organization. Volunteering is work experience. If you cannot get a job in your industry, if you are working in another industry, one way to give yourself valid experience is to volunteer in the industry that you want to work in. Do you understand? Offer your time to volunteer. I feel like that also helps as well. So I don't think that if you can get a scholarship that people lie about things like that, but they will find out in the interview, they'll find out in background checks. So I think it's a bad idea to lie about your experience. So yeah. High faith, must one talk about all three schools? Some scholars say focus on the first school and drop a line or two of the other schools. I think that's a bad okay, let me not say I think that's a bad idea, but personally, I don't think that's a good idea. I believe that you have three choices. So for me, I talked about all my three schools and I saw how impressed they were. Like, of all my questions, I feel, well, that's one of the questions that I know that they really, really were impressed. Like, I could see, because obviously there are different panelists, and you see that, you know, what you can gauge what each of them are judging. There was somebody from the UK, I think she's like a program officer, an educational consultant or something, but one thing I know that helped me was obviously my first choice. I talked in detail about it. Like I could give a whole lecture about my first choice, honestly. And then my second choice, I could also give a lecture. So let's say you have 100% of the pie. I would say that your first choice, you should talk about it. Um, 60%. No, 60% is too much. 50%. 50% is too much. 40%. And then the other schools, 30%. You want to talk about your first choice long, but you also don't want to mention one line. Like each of your different schools, you want to tell them that it's phenomenal. Except you already have an unconditional. I even still think it's a bad idea, honestly, because they know that sometimes your first choice might not give you admission, or there might be drama eventually. So they want to be sure that every single school that you put is equally capable. You're not just putting things because you just thought about it, but you actually thought about every single choice. So I think talking deeply about all three, but focus more on the first choice, but do not say one or two lines about the other schools. Still talk about I don't know what your it's important to you, but I know that modules are important. I know that non-academic things are also important. So maybe things about the lecturer, or things about the society, or things about the environment. That obviously there are lots to say, but what is most important and relevant to you is what you want to say about those schools. But whatever you do, don't say less than what you said in your essay. Like focus a lot on your first choice, but maybe you say 20 lines about your first choice. Your other two choices, say at least twelve lines each. Like it's a bad idea to just talk about your first choice and drop two lines about the other two choices. Like because they know that you can go to your second or third choice, like literally. So I don't think that's a good idea. And then even you talking about all three also makes you sound impressive, because they're like, okay, this person has done their due diligence in every single aspect of the scholarship application. Like, so you don't want this is a very competitive process. You don't want to leave any stone unturned. You want to make them know that I came here for business. Every single question you need to ace it. Think about all questions like they are a paper on their own, honestly. Um Okay, hi Faith. Speaking of schools for the interview, please, how many course modules do I need to mention? I mentioned one each and blended with other reasons, but I was told during mock interview to add more modules. Definitely, I agree with that. Do not mention one module. Like some schools have like 8 modules. So are you saying that you chose a school to study for 1 year because of one module? Like you don't want to do that. You need to talk about at least half of the modules. And the thing is, there are some modules that even have related work. So you can say, oh, you talk about the first one, talk about the second one, you talk about the third one, and then you be like, oh, this, and this can help me in this way, and this way, without being too detailed. But I talked about all my modules, by the way, but obviously time. At least for my first choice, I know I did that. The other two, I picked specific modules, but I know I did at least. There was one that was 6 modules. I talked about 3. It's how you talk about it. You don't want to spend all the time talking about a module, but mention the module, mention what it's about, mention the impact it will have on your life. Like you can do that, pam, 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 pam. Do you understand? So at least I'll say that talk about like 4 modules. You don't have to talk about all the modules actually because of time, but you can talk about at least half of the modules and then mention briefly the other module. Let them know that you actually know the names of the modules and talk about the general tip that they can all give you. And then you're not talking about the other things as well because you want to talk about a lot of other non-academic reasons why you're going to the school as well. So I would say obviously one module is not enough. Um it said we could wear colors. So are bright colors allowed, like red and yellow? Honestly, I know someone that wore red shoes, but if you want to wear a red dress, do not wear a bright red dress. You don't want them to get distracted as well. You want to dress good and fancy, but you don't want them to be distracted. I know someone that wore a flowery dress though, and she got selected. We had our interviews on the same day, but she wore a black blazer and black shoes to calm it down. So you don't want to go there wearing a red dress, a red shoe, red hair. Just how I'm saying, like find a way to balance it. You don't want to look like you're mourning or you're sad, but you want to be able to bring it all together. If you're going to wear yellow, you need to bring it down with like darker colors. You don't want to just look too bright. Do you understand? So even though I'm saying dress well, I'm not saying you should go there with yellow dress, red jacket, and white shoes. Please, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Does NYSC count as work experience for application? Definitely. It's a work experience. Like one thing a lot of people don't realize is that we did a lot of community service in NYSC. So that's like a good way for you to hype yourself. You did community service and you worked in a particular organization. Do you get like NYSC definitely counts because you worked. What doesn't really count for some scholarships is maybe things like internship that you did that were compulsory and they counted towards your degree. So that's the one that they're not gonna, take seriously. But NYSC, you were done, you were already a graduate, you were employed. So definitely that counts as work experience. Also, my interview is virtual. Do I need any document on standby apart from my international passport? Well, like I always say, better safe than sorry. I prefer to be over prepared than under prepared. Trust me, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for you to get a scholarship that will fund you to travel to the UK, all expense paid. Like when you get it, you understand that every single aspect of the process is seamless. Like you get support for life. So I feel like it's better for you to have everything that you need. So any possible thing that comes to your mind, just put it there. The IS is that they're not going to ask you for it. I feel like it's better safe than sorry than to have everything, don't have enough, and they ask you for something and you don't have. So better safe than sorry. But one thing I know for sure is they're going to ask for your international passport to be sure that you're who you say you are. So also, if you're doing a virtual interview, please, I know there are some applications that can allow you to change your background. If you do that, that also makes you seem like, oh, this person is really serious. So you can change your background to something cool. If you want to be bold, you can even make it Chevening's write-ups. But make your background something cool. Or arrange your background such a way that it looks nice. It can even be like in front of like a book stand or something, or maybe your brand or something. But don't let they're going to look at every single thing around you, and people tend to judge you by their first impression of you. So you want your environment to look good as well. You want to have like at least more than one source of internet because internet used to fail. So whether Wi-Fi, 4G, or 5G, or your different internet, have backup plans as well. Have backup, maybe UPS generator. Don't use a laptop that is television that would die if you're in the middle of an interview. That is very important. Like ensure that you have different chargers. If you want to use phone, you can use phone, but yeah, you can also use phone as well. Have good lighting. If you need to go somewhere that has all these things, I feel like that is like a better idea, honestly. So you can also do that as well. But for virtual interviews, and you also want to try beforehand. So I don't know what form of interview format what am I saying, what application you're using for your interview. So if they've told you that maybe it's Microsoft Teams or it's Zoom or whatever platform, you want to have tried it with somebody else before that day to be sure that you know how it works. And if you also want to try it, especially your interview is at 1 p.m., you want to try it again at 8 p.m., to 8 a.m., 9 a.m., just to be sure that it's working. Because I've had situations where I try out things and I practice with people, and then at the time of the interview, it's not working. You understand? So yeah. And then because it's virtual interview, please do not sink back into yourself. Because it's virtual interview, they're not even the only thing they can see is your face and your voice and your pitch. Avoid speaking in one tone from beginning to the end. It can get boring. You want to be able to go high, go low, go left, go like you want it to be like, who is this person? You have energy. Do you understand? So yeah. Um People are citing each other. Ife and Hope 2021. Thank you, Hope, for the kind words. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hi, Faith. Do I need to decide which scholarship opportunities to pursue so that I can work towards it? It all feels intimidating. Where do I start from? If I know what Chevening are joined together, let no man put us under. But yeah, the person says it all feels intimidating. Where do I start from? Honestly, I'll tell you a short story. The first time I saw the Chevening application, I don't know what I was doing, but I was like, who is going to get this scholarship? It's not me. Because that was even before the first time I applied. Because sometimes you don't even read it well because you already have predetermined information in your head that this is hard. So I didn't even think I read it well. But the first time I saw it, I was like, is it me that will get this one? They want leader, they want 2 years work experience. It just felt like it was just too much for me. And I have a good resume, but I was like, it's not for me. Like I felt very intimidated. And I remember canceling it and I was like, I'm not doing a beg. This scholarship is too hard. Like I'm not interested. And then a year later, a scholar now posted up a picture of her with the chosen for Chevening. That thing actually just inspires you. You just be like, this is so cool. So I remember seeing her, and then she talked about the course she studied. I went through her social media pages. I googled her, and I'm like, Faith, if this girl can get it, does she have two heads? All these people that are getting, though their profiles are intimidating, but I know how you can actually present yourself. I know how you can package yourself. I know how you can promote yourself. And I was like, you know what, Faith, you can literally do this. So I read the application process again, and then I was like, okay, girl, you're actually eligible for this thing. And obviously, and now at the second time, and I felt really obviously, I felt overconfident and whatever. Well, you know how that story ends. But what am I saying? The first thing is do not be intimidated. If you believe that you can or you cannot, you are right. So if you believe that you can, if scholarships are intimidating, they will be intimidating. If you believe you can't get the scholarship, you can't get the scholarship. If you believe you cannot get the scholarship, you cannot get the scholarship. Whatever, the first thing I'll tell you is whatever discipline or course you want to study, try and research for people who have studied that course under scholarships. I feel like that's one way to really boost your confidence. So, whatever industry, whatever field, try and look for scholars. One good way to search for that is actually LinkedIn because people tend to put up, the scholarships that they've won on LinkedIn or Facebook. But I know LinkedIn is very effective as well. Try and find people that have studied those courses under scholarship. Try and read all the different things that they have done. Check their work experience. Check the work they do, check when they won the scholarship to be able to gauge that as well. And then also I said previously, know the course you want to study, know your goal. If you know that you want to go abroad so that you can stay, you don't want to go for scholarships that require you to come back. If you know you're interested in coming back, you want to touch Nigeria, you want to build a lifelong partnership that will allow you to touch your home country, then obviously you decide those specific scholarships as well. I'm just trying to be sure that I'm answering it well. So once you have all those scholarships together, like I said, the first thing you need to do once you have the list is check out scholars who have won those scholarships. Try and find people that have won it in courses related to you. Try and see the kind of work that they do, kind of organizations that they worked with, and see if you can plug yourselves into some of those activities. I know people that plug themselves into activities of scholars. I know aspirants that said they wanted to volunteer in my organization. I know people that um obviously, because it will give you a sense of what the scholarship providers are looking for when you can see the kind of people that they have accepted. Obviously every year they want people that are different, but you will still see a pattern that is consistent. So the first thing is obviously decide the scholarships. You don't want to try everything. You don't want to die. I feel like set a timeline. So obviously the scholarships are open in the beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year. So if you are doing beginning of the year, focus on the beginning of the year scholarships. List them out. Get all your documents together. Find scholars that are in that industry. You don't even have to email them. By just watching them and seeing what they are doing actually, you can also, because most scholars are actually really busy, so you go through their works as well, and then you as well try to find organizations you can volunteer with. Start working in those organizations. If you are interested in doing maybe carrying out a project, start to do a better version of that project. And when I say better, like BETA, a mini version of that project. Start to work on it, start to learn on the job, because you will learn things. What if you don't even like the course you want to study? So I feel like start working towards it now. Start taking online certifications, online courses, basically things that will help you to know, do I really care about this? And then start writing your essays. I always tell people that the better you start writing your essays now, they help you. Like start writing your essays, start going round and round and round it, start trying to fit in all your different experiences, and then you have a list. Once you submit the first one, you tick the box. Once you submit the second one, you tick the box. Once you submit the third one, you tick the box. But the worst thing you can do is try to write all the scholarship essays at once. That's a bad idea. The first thing you need to do is work on it one by one. So if one is due 15th of the month and the other one is due maybe first of the next month, you want to work on the one that is due next first. Do you understand? And don't crowd yourself. Don't try and apply for 50 scholarships at once. Spread them out according to the journey. And also, because the truth is that at that one person can be eligible for 50 scholarships, except obviously you have like if your you have all the grades and everything. But the truth is that even people that have all these things still get rejected for scholarships. So you want to pick scholarships that you know you can market yourself best. They have courses that you can apply for and you can get, and scholarships that you have the best shot at. You don't want to, because there's no point applying for something that you're not sure you're going to get. Like, just what I'm saying. Like, if somebody says a distinction and you have a tutu, and there's a scholarship that doesn't really care about your tutu, but they care about your experience, there's no point wasting your time and energy focusing on the one that is already like a wild goose chase. Do you understand? So I feel like that's one of the first things that you need to do. Get your priorities right. Be sure of the ones that you're qualified for. It's not because there's anything wrong with you, but there's always a particular scholarship that everybody is qualified for. I know that of all the scholarships, one of the scholarships I knew that I was very qualified for was Chevening. What and it's because apart from my academic background, Chevening cares more about the work you're doing, your experience, and your future goals. And Chevening allows me to study the course I want to study. A lot of scholarships will not have allowed me to study the master's degree that I'm studying, and I knew that this was the course I wanted to study. So there's no point me now wasting my time on energy on scholarships that they don't even have the course. Do you understand? So if you want to study a course that is not common, obviously I know Chevening is one of it. I know Ireland government scholarships have a diverse array of courses as well. I know Mastercard has specific courses. I know Commonwealth also, but just check for the ones that allow you to study the course you want to study and relate more with, your background, your experience, and all of that. Um, Hope said E for energy. E for energy. Someone says, is the financial condition of an applicant ever a factor? I think it depends on the scholarship that you're applying for. Some scholarships obviously don't care about your financial background. Scholarship I'm on, which is Chevening, doesn't care about your scholarship background. But I know that there are some scholarships like Mastercard that would want you to mention it. Obviously, they don't want you to dwell on it. Like that's the wrongest thing you can do. You want to be sure that the thing is that they would mention it if, like, okay, Commonwealth as well. They also want your people from low scholarship backgrounds. But the truth is that even these scholarships that say these things, they still pick applicants that have been able to rise against their problems. They're not saying that you rise to the point where you're Dangote's son or you're on Forbes list, but you've risen to the point when you've risen above your struggle and you're beginning to push and do something. So even if you talk about your financial background, you will not spend 50% of your essay on it, maybe 5%. Because I've spoken to people that won Mastercard and Commonwealth, and they barely mentioned their financial issues. They talked about it briefly, but they made it more of a from grass to grace kind of story. Because obviously, because I've some of the essays I've reviewed for some scholarships, some people have tried to use the financial card to try to maneuver their way through getting scholarships that don't care about it. Like I've had to tell people that this strategy is wrong. Like there's no point saying, "Oh, you lost your farm." Though that is really sad, honestly. And I'm not trying to belittle that experience because that is sad. But the truth is that if a scholarship wants you to talk about your achievements, the people you have impacted, numbers, and you're coming trying to make them, feel your pain and make them, it's not going to work. But if it's a scholarship that is talking about it, so you can be like, oh, I lost my farm, and this made me maybe interested in learning about cancer. And though I have not reached where I want to be, but I've been working on it. Maybe I did a BA in this or whatever. I've done publications. I lost sometimes cancer, and I did not have money. Became poor. But basically, you can let them know that you have a financial challenge, but making it seem like, oh, you're not going to dwell on it. You don't want them to give you the scholarship just because you don't have money, but because, oh, you have financial issues, but you're willing to try and rise above it. Your financial problems are not holding you back, but they are inspiring you to want to do better, and that's why you want to apply for the scholarship, and that's why you want to go abroad. That's why you want to change the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? That sounds more convincing. Because a lot of people that are sad, literally, they have different schemes of people that are in those situations, but they're trying to look for partners. So Dami says, after securing a scholarship, how can I fully maximize the benefits of the scholarships? So it really depends on the scholarship that you win, honestly. All scholarships have like different benefits. So aside from, obviously, you want to be able to do well academically, but from on a school level, you want to be able to participate in like school societies. You want to the lot of school like trainings that they do for your future careers, career workshops, CV workshops. You want to be able to plug into those different things. Scholarship allows you, a lot of them give you stipend, and this also gives you enough time that maybe, obviously, if you were self-funded, you might have to work, but with the scholarship giving you stipend, you don't need to work. So you want to use that year to be able to work on personal projects, to be able to build things that maybe if you were working in 9 to 5 or you were very, very stressed, you might not have. So use that year to work on plans. Also, you also want to be active in the scholarship. So a lot of scholarships have like events that they do for scholars. You want to be able to attend those events. And when you're at those events, you don't want to be silent. You don't want to be in the background. You want to be at the forefront. You want them to be able to notice you and know who you are. Do you understand? You want to be able to think of things you can partner with your scholarship to do as well. Like, so basically, one of the best ways to maximize your scholarship experience, firstly, maximize the things that your school offers. Join societies, network with people, and then network with scholars as well. Try to see how you can collaborate with them and things you're doing. And when you come back, most scholarships have alumni groups. You want to be able to join them. You want to be able to see, how you can plug in into them, and how you can plug into them literally. So don't let your scholarship experience end with just, oh, they funded me abroad. I'm going to sit there and yeah, I'm going to come back. So, okay, so scholarship events and other duties, for example. how much commitment do they require, time, resources, etc. So I'm not sure that we have specific duties to do. Though there are things they expect of you, there's some events that are compulsory, but trust me, they would not feel like a duty. They will feel like an experience. And a lot of them actually don't take a lot of time. Like they know that studying a master's degree abroad is really intensive. As much as I'm saying, oh, you have time to do other projects, honestly, 90, let me not say 90, but 70% of your time will be spent on school because it's your chance to learn, it's your chance to build yourself, it's your chance to like work hard on yourself. So obviously they know that you do not have the time and energy. So and that's why I advise that you only register for things that you can do. I would say maybe register for at least an event every month or twice a month, but honestly practical, an event every month. You want to be able to also tour the country, go out and all of that. She said, how much time commitment do they require? Resources. A lot of scholarship will give you stipend for your transport from your location to whatever events they are inviting you for. So you don't have to worry about resources. Like whatever thing they require of you, they are going to give you the resources to be able to achieve them. For time as well, if you're not able, because there are times when I've had like we've had compulsory scholar events with our program officers and we're not available. Do you understand? So if you have a class that is clashing, they know that your education is the most important thing. So I've had to email them and be like, oh, okay, this time is not convenient for me because I have a class. And they're cool with it. Like it's not like they'll hold your neck. Do you understand? There are specific things that obviously they require of you. Like for some scholarships, they require you to come back. They require you to do well academically. You don't have to get a distinction or a first class, but you have to be able to do well. They don't want you to fail or have to carry over the course. Do you understand? So I feel like, yeah, whatever requirements they will have of you, it's not going to inconvenience you at all. Don't even, most of the opportunities they will even give you are things that you would even want. Like there are lots of opportunities that you would wish that you would even have as well. Because even some of them are actually competitive, even within the scholarship as well. You might need to apply for some opportunities. Um Ficon says the high faith in responding to networking question, must I reference the Chevening network? Although the examples I gave in my networking essay, I didn't reference the Chevening network. What do you advise? To be honest, you need to reference the Chevening network. I'm happy for you that you did not mention it and you still got, to this stage. I don't know, maybe you mentioned the network somewhere else, but obviously, most of the times they want to know how you've been networking in the past, how it has helped you to achieve things, and they want to know that you understand the value of the Chevening network and you understand the possibilities that you can achieve while having that kind of connection. So you want to talk about your networking experience, but you want to end it with, oh, okay, I'm going to do things with the Chevening network in my industry well, okay, that sounds a little grand, but I'm going to partner with maybe scholars. I'm going to network with scholars, but you want to let them know that you've thought about, oh, I'm going to join the network. And if you've already connected with scholars, so I remember that in my interview, I talk about scholars that in my field that I have spoken to already, and we're talking about the possibilities of collaborating. So you don't want to end that question without talking about how you want to utilize the Chevening network. Like it's important. You don't have to say everything I have said. Either you focus on joining the alumni network, either you focus on maybe networking with people in the UK. Basically, with the way that you've done things you've done in your essay or your example, you want to be able to replicate that in your interview, in your future prospect with the Chevening network as well. That's also very important. So I would say that even if you don't mention in your essay, you need to mention it in your interview as well. Sometimes they might ask you follow-up questions if you do not say it, but I advise that you say it. For me, they asked me that, tell us about your networking experience and how you're going to apply that networking experience in the future. So it's important that you mention it. Christian says, how much time should we spend on each answer in the interview? I won't say there's a specific time, honestly, but the point is, it really depends on how they ask you the question and how much, because you can't be checking the time while you're talking. But one thing you can check is their facial expression. You don't obviously want to talk for 30 minutes. You don't want to talk for 15 minutes because they're going to ask you about 6 to 8 questions, in some cases 10. So if your interview is supposed to be 1 hour, I would say it depends on the question, because there's some questions that you spend more time on. Obviously, they ask you for multiple leadership examples, or if they ask you, oh, how would you handle an intensive master's degree in the UK? Obviously, those questions carry different weight. There's some questions that are also broken down. The most important questions, which is leadership, networking, career plan, studying in the UK, you want to spend a lot of time in them, possibly 10 minutes or 7 minutes, because I've really not tried to count myself, but or 5 minutes. It all depends on how how you tell the story. You can talk for long and they are not bored, and you can talk for a short period of time and they really want to get tired. They really want to be out of there. One thing I did was when I was talking about my universities, when I talked in depthly about the first one and then the second one, I could see that one of the interviewers was like, okay, yeah, you're saying amazing things, but we know, can we move on? And so by seeing her facial expression, I was able to round up, not abruptly, like, oh, she's beginning to zone out, so I'm just gonna end it. I concluded. And then finally, it also helps me to do this, and that. Do you understand? So you want to be able to gauge their faces and carry them along and avoid looking at one person. You want to look at all of them. Like look at them and be like, oh, even if this person asked you the question, you want to look at this person, look at this person. So yeah, thank you for the question. So one thing I was really saying is that I believe that, do you understand? So that you'll be able to know if they're not paying attention to you. Do you understand? Yes, so I believe that it depends on the question. The very important questions, you want to spend more time on them. And the questions that are not, so like questions that you can answer shortly, you can answer them in a short period of time. How do I find or decide information to write in my essays? The quick advice I'll say to you is list out everything that's phenomenal about you and then check the scholarship requirements. What is the scholarship priority? And then you pick out the things in your in your experience that is related to the scholarship priority. I have a lot of work experience, like in different things. I've worked in 9 to 5, I've worked in different kinds of organizations, I've volunteered actually as a teacher, but I'm trying to study a business course. There was no point in me talking about my volunteer experience as a teacher. Do you understand? Or my work in an organization. I focus more on what I'm doing in my own brand. So list out all the different things that all your experiences, all your achievements, your awards. I've won academic awards, but I've also won my brand has also won some awards. There was no point in me mentioning an academic award in the essay. So I focused more on, do you get, like, tailor all your experiences, pick the experiences that are relevant to that particular scholarship. And that's why I always tell people that you cannot use the same essay for all the scholarships. Do you understand? You have to use different experiences for all your scholarships as well. So yeah, in picking it, list out your different experiences and then tailor it to the specific scholarship. How much One more thing, Faith. If they ask me about my strengths and weaknesses, do I just mention it or give examples where I've demonstrated those traits? Honestly, I believe that you should definitely give examples. You don't want to just see whatever question they ask you, whatever question it is. So you say, how can you handle an intensive master's degree, or your strengths and weaknesses? You don't want to just list things. That's the fastest way to make people get lost. You want to be able to tell a story about every single thing you're saying. And in that story, talk about your weaknesses, but see how you were able to learn from it and how you're applying it to the future. So you'll be like, oh, one weakness I have is, some people say, oh, they care too much. And they talk about, oh, the weaknesses they've had and how that's affected them. I was able to talk about the fact that I don't have business skills. I do not have it. And I've seen time and again how that has limited me. And I give examples. And obviously, they know that I want to study a course that is business related. And so that obviously flows. You don't want to just say, oh, I care too much, or I have business skills, or I don't have business skills, or um, I'm angry. Obviously, you want to talk about weaknesses and strengths that kind of related to whatever question they ask you, tailor it to the scholarship or your future goals or the course you want to study. Do you get? So obviously, I would say that it's important that you don't just mention it, but you also talk about examples, or you tell a story with it, a story that is convincing, and you find a way to conclude it and see how you have learned from it, how you are building it, how you want to build it, how it's related to the scholarship that you're applying for. Um w- okay, hi Faith, how can I apply for multiple scholarships at once without giving up? Don't apply for multiple scholarships at once. Honestly, that sounds funny, but to be honest, apply for multiple scholarships, but not at once. That's the wrongest thing you can do. You need to be able to prioritize the what's the word now? The timelines. So for anything you want to do, whatever, even like career goals, or goals and things you have for the year, you don't want to say, oh, I'm going to achieve everything in the next 4 weeks. It is not achievable. You want to be able to set you want to be able to set, what's the word now, practical goals. So most scholarships don't open at the same time. Some scholarships are clustered around the end of the year period, the middle of the year period, beginning of the year period. So you want to be able to do it like that. So write a list of all the scholarships you want to apply for. So let's say there are 10. There are three that are due end of the year. There are three that are due middle of the year. There are three that are due first of the year. In the beginning of the year, you want to focus on the ones that are due on the first of the year. Once you are done with those ones, even the sending and the completion of that scholarship is going to motivate you to even be able to do the other ones. The worst thing you want to do is try and run and do everything at the same time. You want to be able to start from the ones that are most pressing, which is the ones that are most recent, and that's the one that you really want to be able to do as well. So definitely do it according to the time of relevance. So the ones that are most recent, you want to focus your time and energy on those, and also the ones that are most important. So for example, if you have three scholarships that had their deadlines this month, and you know that you're stressed and it's very impossible for you to be able to do everything, focus your energy on the one that, you know, there are some scholarships that you don't think you are that eligible for, but you're like, let me shall apply. And then there are scholarships that you know that, okay, I have a good shot at this. So you might have to do like priority. So the ones that I'm sure that, okay, I have a lot of, prospects, you want to focus on that one. And then once you're done with that, you've sent an amazing application for that one. Because trust me, applying for a scholarship is not easy, guys. It's draining mentally. Like you feel like you just carried weights. Like it's a lot of work. So you want to focus on the one that you have the most strength for first, submit that application, and then the time you have left, focus on the other ones. I don't think all the scholarships are open around the same time. I know that some scholarships are clustered early in the year, some are clustered middle of the year, some are clustered end of the year. So it really depends. Please, what's the most important step, or what are the steps to follow when applying for scholarships? I think I've talked a lot about the steps to follow. Get your documents, do your research, check out scholars, write out your experiences, be sure of which one aligns the most with the particular scholarship you're applying for. Apply for the scholarship. Once you've applied, please do not sleep on your emails, on your phone, waiting for a call back. You want to be able to and move on to the next scholarship. Like I feel like the way to success is quite busy. It's not, oh, I'm going to wait for this. Would I fail? Would I pass? Let me sleep. No, you want to be able to apply, move on to the next one. I know people that they get rejections, they're applying for the next one. And when they're trying to apply for the next one, they get it in. That's the best strategy, honestly. You don't want to sit down and focus on just one, because it's not going to be a fun place to be in as well. Now, for the most important step, I'll say it's the application, obviously, because it's whatever you send in the application that is really going to help you. So one thing that is very important for you is, like I said, obviously, think about what you want to be in the future. Think about what you've done before. Think about how, if you don't have enough stories to tell, or you don't have enough experience, think about maybe pausing for a while and building that experience and putting in the application. Do you understand? So yeah, I feel like the application is very important, because that's what's going to get you a foot in the door, or even get you to be interviewed if your scholarship requires you to be interviewed or not. So yeah. Should I reapply if I've been rejected, or simply try self-funding? To be honest with you, if you have the fund for self-funding, maybe. But I would always say try again, because you were rejected last year doesn't mean you'll be rejected this year. I know people that were there's somebody in my call that applied 5 times. He got the scholarship on his fifth try. Let me explain the benefit of scholarships, guys. You're going to get tuition fee covered, monthly stipend to cover for your feeding and your accommodation that is equivalent to a high paying job, guys. And then you have all the time and energy to be able to network with people. You have this lifelong partnership. You have this opportunity to be able to tour this new place. If you self fund and let's say you don't have enough fund, you're going to spend a lot of time and energy trying to work and try to be able to get the funding, and that's not fun because a master's degree is very intensive, and the last thing you want to do is to be worrying about the fees, guys. So I'll say that it's worth it to wait and keep applying, and that process of waiting, building yourself, improving your experiences, elevating the quality of scholarships that you can apply for. Like, who says you can apply for a scholarship in the top schools in the world? Or do you understand? Like, in that process, you will keep growing, you will keep developing, you will keep becoming all that you're supposed to be. So, me, I feel like the process of getting rejected and selected for scholarship is one that helps you to grow. Like, basically helps you to grow. So, high face, can one get a fully paid undergraduate scholarship abroad? Definitely. The same way you can get a master scholarship, it's the same way you can get an undergraduate scholarship abroad. Like, it's basically the same strategy. I know there's a scholarship, I even got like a notification, McGill scholarship for undergraduates, so you can definitely check that. A lot of the scholarships actually offer funding for undergraduates. A lot of them actually are university specific scholarships. So the strategy you would use for a master's, all the things you're learning, you can also apply them for the undergrad. Obviously, for undergraduates, you have to have very good grades, a strong sense of purpose. While you're in secondary school, you want to be able to have done lots of extracurricular activities. In the summer, you want to be able to have, done some internships, some summer school, some relevant things. Do you get? So the point of most scholarships are definitely not just about academics. Some are strictly academic and they tell you, okay, this is basically an academic merit scholarship, obviously. But like for scholarships that most scholarships require not just academic merit, but like every single thing as well. So yeah. Now that I'm even talking about like university specific scholarships, a lot of people have asked me, oh, how do we get university specific scholarships? It's very important that the same way you hype a scholarship body, it's the same way you want to hype the university. There are many opportunities for you to plug in the university. You want to be able to research that and talk about that. And even as an undergraduate, you want to be able to talk about all the different things you intend to do while at the school, aside from academics. You want to talk about the value that you want to add, how you want to be an ambassador of the school or whatever you want to be. You want to be able to do that as well. So yeah, I believe that that is very important. Guys, do you have any final questions? Ah, God, you guys have been with me for a very long time, and I'm really grateful. It's been beautiful vibing and chatting with you guys. Any final questions? And obviously, for everybody that has the Achieving Scholarship interview upcoming, I wish you good luck. I wish you success. I wish you progress. And I cannot wait to celebrate with you. I can't wait to welcome you to our network. Can't wait to interview you on my YouTube channel. Yes. So please, you have interviewed a lot of scholars. What can you say makes them stand out? I'll say their passion, like obviously, and passion and a strong track record and sense of purpose. A lot of scholars that I've spoken to are very passionate and they are passionate about things that are very, very unique to them. Like I've learned a lot from speaking to some of the scholars about the issues that they're talking about. They're very knowledgeable about it. They're not talking about things on the surface level. They're giving me in-depth details about their career plan, about what they are about all the things that they are interested in. So One thing is their passion and their knowledge, and then their track record. Most people that I know that win scholarships have a strong track record, either in volunteering, either they founded something, or they were in an organization, they were working hard, or they were doing multiple jobs and different things together. Do you understand? So I feel like they have a strong track record. And then obviously they have a strong sense of what they want to do in the future. So like a lot of scholars that I know as well have very strong career plans. Like they've thought about them in depthly. They don't spend all their time on their experience, why they're amazing, and they're now not put enough time on what it is that they want to do in their countries. So you want to be able to have every single aspect together. So yeah, oh, thank you, Hope. You've also been amazing. Thank you for, vibing with me, talking with me. It's been over an hour, and I'm just really, really grateful. Yes. So, the Chevening. Okay, how is the life in the UK? What's the experience been like? I think I'll do a full video about that on my YouTube, but it's been both ways. It's been beautiful, but obviously, some parts of it that's been stressful, guys, like the code, and then so many other things. But just check out the channel. I would do a video about that. Does Chevening require schools to contribute 20% of the tuition? If one's first choice school does not contribute the required percentage, can that be a reason to move the scholar to the next choice? I would say that you shouldn't worry about that because the likelihood of that happening is very, very slim. I don't even think it happened to anybody in my court. So you don't need to worry about that at all. The reasons why they will move you to your second choice is more about because the schools are proud. They're proud to be associated with Chevening. They want to have a Chevening scholar. There are a lot of people that cannot even afford the fees, and they have someone that they're going to pay a large chunk of their fees without worry. All they just need to do is maybe take off a percentage. I don't think it could have happened in the past, but it's something that you should not worry about at all. In the process, a lot of us were worrying, we're asking our program officers, but they told us not to worry about it, that it really happens. And it didn't happen to anybody. Reasons why people were moved is not related to fees at all. It was more about, oh, maybe they chose a course that was not eligible. So maybe a course that was 13 months, or maybe there are possible reasons, but I do not think that this happens often. But my advice for you is that if there's a possibility that you might move from your first choice to your second choice, it doesn't happen to everyone. It did not happen to me, but like I know of people that their first choices were removed, maybe because of eligibility issues. Do you get? Because there's some things that people will miss when they are trying to apply that are not relevant, and then they miss it, and then it's taken off. But I doubt that was the reason. Or maybe they want more opportunities. But my advice to you to be safe is get at least two unconditional offers from your different schools by July. I'm not saying now because many people are pressuring themselves now. Now it's good to have a conditional offer, but by July, you want to be able to get an unconditional offer from at least two choices to be safe. I will even say all your choices because I've heard of people that they remove two schools. But obviously, if you know that you did your research well, at least two choices. I even had just one unconditional offer from my first choice. My second choice, I had a conditional offer, and they required me to, I think, write a letter from my school. But I really didn't care about the second choice. I was already happy with my first choice, so I could have just gotten a letter. And I did not want to write IELTS, and the third one required me to write IELTS, and I was not interested, so I didn't go to the third one. So literally, it really depends. It's a Don't worry about that at all. The likelihood of that, except your, I don't want to say village people, but the possibility of that is very limited. Trust me. Do all scholarships require scholars? Do all scholarships require scholars to come back home? No, exactly. Oh yeah, great, good, Judith. So you're fine. Literally, for real, you're fine. I know you might want your first choice though. But the way it works is in that at that point in time, if you already have an unconditional offer from your first choice, it automatically sends you to your first choice, except there's a problem with your first choice. Maybe you don't have an offer, and then they send you to the next ranked school that you have an offer from at that point, but you can still change, because there's a point in my application in that end process that I wanted to switch to my second choice, but obviously I reviewed it again and I realized, okay, no, I prefer my first choice. But things are flexible. Just let me just let you know. Don't worry about that. What you should worry about right now is getting the scholarship. The all scholarships require scholars to come back home. Definitely not. And if your plan is not to come back home, then don't apply for a scholarship that requires you to. Chevening requires you to come back home. And yeah, but I know MasterCard scholars can stay, and some other scholarships as well. I think Commonwealth requires you to come back home, but except for if you get a PhD funding. Chevening, PhD funding, no PhD funding, you're coming back to your country for 2 years. And the point is that they even want people that are happy about this. Like I'm happy to come back to Nigeria, because obviously this abroad life for now, I don't know about the future, but for now it's not for me. I'm kind of like interested in, going back to my country. I miss the heat in Nigeria, like, and a lot of other things. But anyways, not all scholarships require you to come back. You just need to find the specific scholarship. If your goal is to stay, I know that most university specific scholarships allow you to stay back and even maybe even do like PhD and all those different things. But most broad scholarships, might require you to come back. I know island government scholarship, you can also stay back. Just check to be safe and sure. Do you get? But obviously not all scholarships. Some scholarships allow you to jackba. Anyways, um can I get scholarships if I'm in my 30s? Definitely you can get a scholarship if you're in your 30s. There are scholars in my set that are 50 something, and they have the scholarship. I know a woman that was over 50 as well that has the scholarship. I know people that a lot of them are a lot of people are actually even in their 30s actually. The 20 something year olds are not a lot, but don't let this deter you if you're 20 something year old. I'm 20 something year old, so don't worry about that. But I'm saying that most of the scholarships depends on the scholarship if they are specific. But a lot of scholarships focus more on the content of your application as opposed to things like your age, your religion, things that can limit you. Exactly, like in their late 60s, there's nothing that can hold you back. Like, honestly, like, it's if see whatever you think, whatever you will hold you back in your mind is what will hold you back in the scholarship. It's not really them. They focus more on, they don't give up on you because you are a particular age. They know that there's a lot of possibilities for you in the future. So as long as you can convince them of your track record, convince them that regardless of your age, you are still driven, you are still passionate, you are still interested in changing the world. A lot of people are in their 30s, actually. A lot of people are in their 30s. Like, guys, I think like the youngest in the Nigeria set, but please, if you're younger than this, do not let this deter you. I'm not saying in the history, but for this year, I think the youngest is like 24 or 23. Like, it's not like we're 19-year-olds. Do you understand? So, like, guys, honestly, like, your age is not going to limit you. Some scholarships are for like recent graduates, obviously. You don't want to apply for that, but the thing is that what will limit you in one scholarship will not limit you in another scholarship. There are scholarships that I wouldn't apply for because I am not, my experience, my goals, and the things I'm interested in are not in alignment with the scholarship. So there's no point in me wasting my time, my energy. But there are obviously scholarships that I know that I'm eligible for, like the one I won as well. So it's really all about you and you deciding that I'm not going to let this limit me. Like, there are people in my set that are 50 something, and it's inspiring for me because even as they are in the UK as well, they're kind of like some of the people that are doing a lot more than even the younger ones. Do you understand? Like, they are killing it. Do you get? And this is even a global thing. This is not even like a national thing. A lot of scholarships allow like people from like different points. So, any final questions before we close? Any final questions before we close? It's been really amazing vibing with you guys. Like, it's been beautiful. I've really enjoyed this live session. Um, it's been lovely. All you just need to do is, if you stayed up to this point, I'm grateful. This video is going to be up on my YouTube channel, so you can watch it from the beginning. If you joined late, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Drop a comment to tell me that you love it and keep supporting. Subscribe to the channel because I'm going to have interviews with more scholars. I'm going to create more content around scholarship, and I also send like emails, email notification as well. So you find the details to register for that as well in the comments below. Thank you guys for staying up to this time. I'm really grateful. And I look forward to celebrating you all when the results eventually come out. Don't be deterred, whatever the outcome of things in the past, in the present, or in the future. As long as you believe that you are going to get a scholarship, you are going to get a scholarship. I told myself I was going to get not just a scholarship, but the Chevening scholarship. And I did it. Obviously, a lot of work and things that went into it, but I did it. As long as you can tell yourself that you can do it, and you're gonna put everything that it takes into getting it done, then I believe that you're going to be fine. Please subscribe to my channel, share this video, support a girl. You can also follow me on social media. I also post up fun content on scholarships. So at AFM Stories on all platforms. All right, guys, have a great evening and bye. Thank you, guys. I'm seeing the final comments. Bye.